Kia ora and welcome to Baha'i on Air. For today's program, we have a special guest, singer-songwriter Grant Hindin-Miller.
Illumine, O Lord, the faces of thy servants, that they may behold thee and cleanse their hearts, that they may turn unto the court of thy heavenly favors, and recognize him who is the manifestation of thyself, and the day spring of thine essence. Verily thou art the Lord of all worlds. There is no God but thee, the unconstrained, the all-subduing. Baha'u'llah, Baha'u'llah, illumined.
This Baha'i from Christchurch has been inspiring the Baha'is of New Zealand and around the world with his beautiful and touching songs. And so he's going to share a couple songs with us and explain them. What are you going to do first, Grant?
Thank you. I thought I'd do Breakwell, which is about the very first English Baha'i, Thomas Breakwell.
And why is he significant? There's quite some neat stories around him, which is why you would have chosen to write a song about.
He was an interesting fellow. He was a really handsome young man who was working in America, in the south of America. And he came to Paris around about 1900, 1901. And he was troubled because he had tuberculosis. He was in the later stages of tuberculosis. And he was spiritually searching. And he met a Baha'i woman. And this Baha'i woman told him about the Baha'i faith. And he was immediately galvanized by that. In fact, he said he walked around by the streets of the Seine River and he heard this voice in his head saying, "Christ has come." And he went back to this woman and he said, "Look, I've had this unusual experience. Can you tell me what it means?" She did, and he became the first English Baha'i. So in this song, I've got a line from a traditional English nursery rhyme, just to signal the fact that he was from England. He walked around Paris with his head in his hands, watching the river beside Notre Dame. He was looking for something, what he could not tell. But each time he looked round, he heard a sound. And there was a traveler he met on a boat, who said, "I know someone you'll like a lot." And what did it matter? He had time on his hands from the moment he got there. He heard that sound. Breakwell, Carmel was calling you. Breakwell, your heart, it kept telling you, listen now. Can't you hear it, the sound of the nightingale? And the streets swelled with oranges and lemons of the bells of St. Ives and St. Clements, he was floating. Halfway to the heavens he broke well. And the sweet strains of Tehran and Avaka, they were bouncing on the rooftops of Montmartre, the last chains, so easily cast asunder, he broke well. He came back to Paris, an angel of light, like the leaves of the autumn. He was ready for flight, for he had seen something, a vision so high. When a bird finds its own wings, it just has to fly. Breakwell, Abha was calling you. Breakwell, your heart, it kept telling you, listen now. Can't you hear it? The sound of the nightingale. There you go, Thomas. A bientôt, Thomas. God speed your journey well.
Thank you, Grant. Grant Miller is a prolific writer. He's written books, films, and many songs. He teaches writing at Canterbury University. And many of his songs are actually inspired from the Baha'i faith and the Baha'i writings. And this next song you're going to do is from a great Baha'i writing about peace. And it says, I charge you all that each one of you concentrate all the thoughts of your heart on love and unity. And when a thought of war comes, oppose it by a stronger thought of peace. A thought of hatred must be destroyed by a more powerful thought of love.
Yeah. And isn't it interesting that in that line it says, concentrate all the thoughts of your heart, not the thoughts of your mind, the thoughts of your heart. That emotion is such a powerful motivating force in everything we think and do. So it's fascinating.
I like that quote too, because a lot of times people might say the Baha'i faith or any religion is sort of idealistic, be unified, be one, be together. But I think that quote actually gives concrete methods on how to try to transform your thoughts from your heart to being more positive ones.
I charge you all that each one of you concentrate all the thoughts of your heart on love and unity. When a thought of war comes, oppose it by a stronger thought of peace. A thought of hatred must be destroyed by a more powerful thought of love. I charge you all that each one of you concentrate all the thoughts of your heart on love and unity. When a thought of war comes, oppose it by a stronger thought of peace. A thought of hatred must be destroyed by a more powerful thought of love. By a more powerful thought of love. By a more powerful thought of love.
Kia ora. If you've just joined us, this program we're speaking to and listening to Grant Hindin-Miller, a singer-songwriter from Christchurch, who's sharing with us some of his beautiful songs. Many of your songs I recall as being a Baha'i youth and growing up listening to your music are about some of the Baha'i heroes and the important people in Baha'i history. And this next song you're going to do for us is about actually Baha'u'llah, the prophet founder of the Baha'i faith, his own son. And it's quite a tragic story, isn't it?
He was, Baha'u'llah was imprisoned in Akka in Palestine. He was imprisoned there with his entire family. He had 2 sons and a daughter. One day in that prison, his youngest son, who was called Mirza Mehdi, beautiful young man, he was praying on an unprotected part of the prison roof. And during his prayer, he fell through the skylight and collapsed onto a crate in the room below. And he was close to death. He was in between life and death, and Baha'u'llah was brought to him. At that time, the Baha'is of Persia would walk months and months and months all the way from Persia to get a glimpse of him shaking a handkerchief out of a top prison window in the prison city of Akka. And they weren't allowed to get in to see Baha'u'llah. And when Baha'u'llah was brought to Mirza Mehdi, Baha'u'llah was powerful. He had great power. And he said to his son, did he wish to live? And Mirza Mehdi said to him that he would be happy for his life to be a sacrifice, to die, if the Baha'is who walked all of that way could have a way of coming in to see Baha'u'llah, have access to him. And Baha'u'llah said that he would grant him that wish. And he died. And within a matter of weeks, out of the blue, the prison authorities relaxed the regulations and allowed those visitors to come and have access to Baha'u'llah. He was the purest branch that ever garden grew, that ever orchard knew, the dawning of a light. He was the purest branch, a flower in the sun, a vision from the heart, a mystery to us. From a cradle to a carriage, from a playpen to a prison, just a child, just a child. In the cold and snow of winter, in the chilly winds of hunger, every trial, every trial. He was the purest branch that ever hill did find, that ever spring did shine, that ever kissed the sky. The sign of Isaac in his eye, a petal on the wing, a blossom on the wind, a willing sacrifice. He was the purest branch, and when his star was set, such bounty manifest, we never shall forget. He was the purest branch.
Well, thank you for that beautiful song, Grant. Now, this next song you're going to sing for us, in it you repeat, "I will never be the same." And obviously you're sort of talking about, since I met Baha'u'llah, since you became a Baha'i. And you told me you became a Baha'i when you were 22 years old. I assume somewhere in New Zealand.
Yep.
And so, have you never been the same?
Absolutely, have never been the same. That's totally true. Incidentally, the very first New Zealand Baha'i was an Auckland woman called Margaret Stevenson in 1913. First New Zealand Baha'i was a woman. I became a Baha'i when I was 22, and it was quite a long process to do. And I had been brought up in a non-religious home, but round about late teens when I began looking at different philosophies and churches and religions, the one thing that the Baha'i faith really got to me was that all religions are one, so that there is no competition between religions. Buddhism is right, Judaism is right, Christianity is right, they're all right. We don't need to have a competition. And that all people are one, so there's no race or culture higher or lower than any other race or culture. That all people are one, the human family, that the earth is one country and mankind its citizens. They're really beautiful, universal teachings. I will never be the same since I heard your name. I will never be the same again, and I will never be the same since I heard your name. I will never be the same again, Baha'u'llah. Tripping down the Autobahn, China teas and Chelsea buns, wondering just who I am. And I will never be the same since I heard your name. I will never be the same again, and I will never be the same since I heard your name. I will never be the same again, Baha'u'llah. On a Kitsilano path, even in the winter dark, wondering just where I am. And I'd choose you to be with me when the going's good, or in our times of our need. And I'd choose you to be with me when the going's tough, or in times of a peace. And I will never be the same since I heard your name. I will never be the same again, and I will never be the same since I heard your name. I will never be the same again, Baha'u'llah, Baha'u'llah. O my servant, free thyself from the fetters of this world, and loose thy soul from the prison of self. Seize thy chance, for it will come to thee no more.
Now this next song you're going to sing for us, it's from a writing that starts, "Whither can a lover go but to the land of his beloved?" Can you explain that to the audience?
The word beloved is with a capital B, and it stands for God. I think the Baha'i view is that we are spiritual beings. We have a spiritual station and we have a physical station, and our reality is our spiritual reality. Because when the body is gone, what will be left is that spiritual reality. And the seat of spirituality is the heart. And whither can a lover go? A spiritual lover is to the land of his beloved. It is to God. So it's my understanding is that the Baha'i view is that no human being will find comfort in this realm until he or she acknowledges God. So that we are spiritual beings, And when the body is gone, what is going to be left is our spiritual reality. And if the seat of the spiritual reality is our heart, the natural focus for the heart is God, because that is the home of God. So the heart returns to God. And so in this song, whither can a lover go but to the land of his beloved, that the lover, the spiritual lover, turns to God, and that is home. That is where we are orphans in this world until we acknowledge God and return to God. And when that happens, there's suddenly this, thank goodness, we're home. It's coming home. So that's how I take the song today, this little writing.
Now, one thing that might be unusual for people who aren't that familiar with the Baha'i faith and some of the Baha'i imagery is that image of the lover and the beloved. That might be sort of odd for people to think of our relationship to God being as a lover.
Well, it's because it is the heart that is engaged that we don't. The mind is a tool, but it is the heart which is the home of God. So that God, the point of communion between a soul and God is the heart. And the heart is the seat of love, it is the seat of emotion. So, and it is a love relationship. And that is why in literature, if you look through great mystical literature, the mystics were always, their poetry always talks about, their analogies is always about love and the lover. It is the greatest love of all. It's beautiful.
Yeah, well, and all this talk about the meaning of the song, I think the meaning comes through in the beautiful way that it's sung, and sometimes music speaks to the heart easier than all these words, so let's hear it.
Whither can a lover go but to the land of his beloved? And what seeker findeth rest away from his heart's desire? To the true lover, reunion is life. To the true lover, separation is death. His breast is void of patience, and his heart hath no peace. His breast is void of patience, and his heart hath no peace. A myriad lives he would forsake to hasten. A myriad lives he would forsake to hasten to the abode of his beloved.
I'd like to thank Grant for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
Grant's been touring around singing his beautiful music, United States, Australia, New Zealand, so we're lucky to have him here. We'd also like to thank you for joining us for Baha'i on Air. We hope you tune in again, watch our show, learn a bit more about the Baha'i faith. Kakite.
Sacrifices were made by those who built the fabric up, who dug the earth and to raise the walls and laid the groundwork out. They had one eye on the world at large and one eye on their hearts, to build a new Jerusalem. They knew they had to start. Apia, I hear the drum beats of Apia around the Mashriqulaska. There's an ocean of light. Kampala, in the deep heart of Africa, in the nation of Uganda,
There's a glow in the night, linking lines cross the universe, calling all back home. Lightning striking in silver verse, reaching everyone. No war without an open door, no matter where you come. Gold-lit windows in the dawn, mirroring the sun. India, there is a lotus in India, stone petals in open air. What fruit will they bring? Panama has its own Mashrikulas cut, like Sydney, Australia, Frankfurt, Germany, America, by the border of Canada, has a glinting white chandelier in a ribbon of a green. And we're gonna be the ones, gonna be the ones to see it done. The brand new Jerusalem, it's already begun. It's already begun.